3B. 2B. 2B continue. Well, without no further ado, we welcome back up our dear.
Amen.
You want me to move this one before we do this? Y'all clear for your view?
Yeah, if you want, just I was.
Okay?
I'm trying to just mix it up. Use y'all tools. They were so diligently trying to make sure it was set. So the next session that we're going to talk about is sibling and sibling relationship. And you know, this is such a interesting topic because we have children. Some of us have more than one children. Some of us have brothers and sisters that we have good relationship with or bad relationship with. And so when I'm speaking sibling, given our age range, we may not have babies or teenagers or whatever the case may be, most of us, but we do have brothers and sisters or cousins that we have relationship with. And so my next session on relationship is the sibling relationship is a beautiful blessing to cherish both when we are young and until we leave this earth. It is a blessing to have a sibling. And it's a blessing that we should be blessed to be a blessing to them. You know, I realized something. My mom is up here. She came up this summer because she wasn't feeling well. And so my sister brought her up. And she had cancer a few years back. And so when we took her to get her tests and everything, we found out that she's in stage 4 of her cancer. And, you know, when we were working on getting her up and then trying to go to the doctor's appointment, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, the first thing I said, I was just getting ready to really just enjoy my life because my husband is doing so much better. You know, he's in his last phase because, you know, God had shown me three areas that he was going to be healed completely, and he's in the last phase of that healing. And that's the mind. You know, that's the mind. And so I have to say, at first I was kind of upset, you know, when the doctor told me my mom was in stage 4, and I was upset with my sister, you know, because I remember telling her that every year she needs to bring her up so that she could make sure that she goes to her annual appointments. And my sister, we ended up in an argument, all right, sibling and sibling. We ended up in an argument because she felt like the same doctors that she's going to come all the way up there to, they have them there. And so my response back to her was, well, if mom gets sick, don't bring her back. That's going to be on you. Because I done laid the foundation, and what you're telling me is you're going to make your own foundation. And so when she came up, when they were coming up, I'm going to be honest with you all, I had to put that under prayer. Really deep prayer, because I already knew what her condition was before even the doctors told me. You know, and I just had to ask God to help me to not be angry and to help me to stay focused on the one main thing, that's my mom and her care. And so when my sister came up, the first couple of weeks, we were late for every appointment. I was stressed for 2 months. My sister was here for 2 months. I was stressed for 2 months. But I had asked God to help me to not let her know that I was upset. To treat her as if everything, we're in this together, and just to help remove that hurt, you know. And I loved on my sister. I did all kind of things with her. I spent money that I probably didn't. I was spending money left and right. But I enjoyed being around my sister, and I didn't realize that this was the first time in all of my adult life that I actually had my sister with me. And so I would hear her on the phone telling her husband, "Oh yeah, me and my sister is going this place and that place," and he would be, "Well, every time I talk to you, y'all going somewhere." And so, but it was a good visit, even though we had sad circumstances. And I realized I'm not in control. God is in control. And so, sometimes, as siblings, God knows we'll get upset with each other. But if we listen to God and we obey his will, then he makes everything right. And so I just wanted to give you all that testimony of my challenges that I was having. Um, and even with being late all the time, I had to put that on the prayer. I remember when we was to the cancer doctor, and they were trying to set an appointment, and the appointment, she was going home like the Saturday, and the appointment was for the Thursday, the next Thursday. She's telling the lady, well, can you move that up another week? And so I was on the phone because, because of COVID, only one person could go in, and I wanted her to go in. And so I had to ask her on the phone. I said, Dara, why are you moving that appointment? She said, so I could come back and be here and take my mom to the appointment because I know you're so busy. I said, I don't need you to come back. Ma'am, you keep that appointment. She is leaving. I said, because she didn't know she'd been on the prayer. And so I was like, she is leaving and not coming back. No, not right now. I don't need her right now. And I want y'all to know that my mom and I have never been late for an appointment. My mom dresses her own self. And so one day she called me for something, and she was like, Mom is doing what? I said, yeah, she's doing, I tell her we're leaving at such a time. I give her 2 hours. When it's time to go, I check and see if she's ready. She's ready. And the latest we've been is like 5-10 minutes. That's transitioning from the car to get to the appointment. And she says, so I was the problem. I said, yes, you were very much the problem. Very much so. So, so we're gonna talk today. I just wanted y'all to, know, we all have, apart from the church, the physical coming to church and doing ministry, we have life. Every day something is happening, but how we handle it is the key to the success of our mind and the success of the folks around us, and the success of God being pleased with us listening and being obedient to him, and also receiving the blessings and all the things that he has for us. So in our everyday life, that's why sometimes it upsets me when I see a believer who could quote the scriptures fluent, speak Jesus everywhere you go, and as soon as life challenges come, they stop coming to church. They stop doing the God thing. And what that tells me is you wasn't truly grounded in the word. You just knew the word, but the word wasn't truly in you. See, if the word is in you, the word's going to speak to you. It's always being alive in your spirit. It's always being activated because it's always alert. It's constantly moving with you. And so just as much as it's not going to let you die, you shouldn't kill it. You know, I've seen people walk away from ministry roles and they're hiding because they think that you're going to be running behind them. But we don't need to run behind anyone because the word's supposed to be in them. That's between them and God. We'll receive them when they come back after they catch a revelation that they were out of order. Because if you have a ministry, the ministry isn't for you. The ministry is for others that you serve. What's for you is when you come to church on Sunday mornings, when you study Bible study, when you worship. That's how you're being fed. But your ministry is to the life of others, to help them be disciplined, to help them be walking towards the image of God. So when you advocate your ministry role, you're advocating God's purpose that he has for you. And then you're also crippling somebody else's walk. You know, anyway, I got a little off track. I got a little off track. But talking back about siblings, so the topics we're going to talk about today is why God give us siblings. A brother is born for adversity, created for love and friendship, sibling love for service, sibling love for blessings, and cultivating sibling unity. Jesus commands us to love one another and to put others above ourselves. And that's what we do when we do ministry. When you're in charge of a ministry, you are putting others above you. Because the gift that God has given you is not for you. It's for you to serve. Your love of your sibling is for you to serve your sibling. Love on them just as well. We were created for love and friendship. Sometimes siblings are polar opposites, like Mary and Martha. The scene in the Bible where Martha tells Jesus what to do because her sister Mary isn't helping with the dinner party. The two had a different agenda and a different way of expressing their love towards Jesus. Mary wanted to sit at his feet, while Martha wanted to show Jesus love through serving him. It's normal for siblings to be different, and it's okay if they aren't best friends. Marinate on that for a minute. It's okay if your siblings are different from you. But it's also okay if you aren't best friends. Siblings were created for love and friendship. They are the people in your life who see you at your worst and love you no matter what. They know you. From the beginning to the end. From when y'all were running around fighting each other as little kids to when you're adults. They know you. A brother born for adversity. It all starts in Proverbs 17:17. The verse says, a brother is born for adversity. That means your brother or sister was born for trouble. When I was younger, I was convinced my sister was born to cause me trouble, and she did. But 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 that's not what it means. I was always in trouble. She always made sure that I was in trouble with my mom. She did. I sometimes I couldn't stand her because she'll tell on me all the time. You know, how many of you have those stories? Your siblings were telling you all the time, and you're always trying to look, and you're looking at them like they were like the little evil incarnate. you know, even back then you didn't know what evil was all about, but you sure enough, if you could have wring their necks, you would want to wring their necks. I mean, she was terrible. My mom would leave us at home, and she knew I was afraid of the insects, and she would catch them and run me around the house. I mean, anybody want to have a story about what a sibling did them? That's my story. She was wicked. You have a story? Hit you in the head. Anybody else have a story about what a sibling is?
you know, I
You lock her in the closet?
yep, I put her in the closet, just put her in there, and she'd be crying and all that because we were over. I think we were over a babysitter's house, and sometimes you play hide go seek or whatever like that, and I think I just pushed her in the closet and I closed the door, and she don't let me ever forget it.
Yeah, we have long memories. Anybody else have a story?
My mother used to go to choir rehearsal, and my brother could not stand my mouth. He said, "Don't you ever know how to just shut up?" I didn't. My mother got off the elevator. My brother threw a whole drawer of silverware at me. I couldn't. She tore him up, boy. It's her mouth. It's her mouth. She never knows how to shut up. Still don't.
Um, so a brother is born for the hard times in life. He's here to help you when you need it. Think of Joseph, who managed to save his whole family from starvation, even after they sold him into slavery. Think about that. I love the story of Joseph because it's a powerful story. It has so many rich areas that we could study with Joseph. But to think about where he was and where God placed him at the end. See, that's why it's important that we don't get weary and we keep pressing. Because we don't know what God has prepared for us. God prepared him, and he took care of his family, knowing that they didn't take care of him. There was also Miriam and Aaron, Moses' siblings. Miriam saved Moses' life when he was a baby by watching out for him after their mother set him down in the Nile in a basket. Moses needed his sister. So the mother set him in a basket to protect his life, and his sister protected his life the whole time he was growing up. So your siblings are important. The important part of your life. No matter how wicked they were to you when you were young. So there's a little section that says, I tell my kids, He has your back. And that's pretty much what we are to each other. We have each other back. You know, we could talk bad about each other, but at the end of the day, we still love each other. In both these examples, those siblings were there for each other. They put their lives in danger for each other. They put their own needs and desires aside for others. When life gets rough, we know we can count on our siblings. You can share this verse with your children and help them to see God's design for relationship. When life gets rough, you know that you can count on your siblings. Many a times when life gets rough, who do you call? Your brother or your sister. Rant and rave. I was always ranting and raving. And my sister had a good listening ear. You know, because I had lots going on, you know, but she would listen. And then when she speak about what her challenges were, I would listen. You know, my sister got pregnant when she was young. She got her first job when she was a teenager, and she still have that job to this day. But she always wanted to get married. But she didn't do a good job in the beginning picking her mates. And I remember one year when I was away in college, and I guess you call him the baby daddy. You know, she was so busy trying to get back with the baby daddy, and I finally, you know, I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't keep my mouth shut. You talk about keeping your mouth shut. I couldn't keep my mouth shut. You know, I always had an opinion, and I was like, I don't get it. You have a good job. Why are you so twisted up and want to be with somebody that is out there just doing his thing? You should be focused on taking care of your son and trying to find a way to buy a house. And so we ended up in an argument, and we didn't speak for like a few months because she didn't like what I was telling her. But a year later, she started looking into getting a house. And she got a house, nice house. I was so excited for my sister. I furnished the whole house. Because I was blessed. And see, she looked at me as the child that got everything. You know, we had different fathers. So I had a different nurturing. And so she looked at me as the child that got everything, and I wanted to bless her. And then, of course, when I went to college, she didn't go to college. And then we'll have conversation. I said, well, there's no reason for you not to go to college. Big university there. Just start taking some classes. And she took classes and she took classes. It took years. And when that day came, I flew to make sure that I was in attendance of her graduation. Because, see, I know as a single mom, it was a sacrifice. So I wanted to celebrate with her. Her sacrifices were my sacrifices as well, because I was keeping her encouraged. And so, I lost track. Accept them and love them for who they are. Some siblings are not perfect. Some siblings may have made bad decisions. And so their life is a representation of the bad decisions that they made. But if you still show them the same love and the consistency of the same love, eventually some of those bad decisions could be able to be turned around. As they're growing up, make them feel safe to be their self and express their true colors. Don't make your sibling feel like they're nobody and they're not important. Sibling love for service. Have you ever considered that your entire life may very well be lived for the advancement of somebody else? We see this theme in the Bible so many times. Take Esther, for example. She went through many things for the purpose of saving the Jewish people. So our entire life always and does have a purpose. The key is when that purpose begins to move, you sometimes be blocking that purpose. And so you make that purpose manifestation take longer. Then there's Aaron. I know you remember his brother Moses. Aaron was given the task of actually talking for Moses. Nonetheless, Aaron spent his entire life serving his brother by speaking for him and supporting his ministry to the Israelites. Think about that. So your siblings are important. They're an important part of your life. So you want to harness that. Once during a long battle, he even held up his brother's arms so Moses could keep the staff held high and the favor would remain with God's people. All right, thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful, blessed day. So those two examples are examples of servanthood, is one we should make sure that we teach our kids. Teach our kids to love their siblings. And if you have siblings that are constantly fighting, like we probably did now that we are adults, we know better now, right? Teach them to serve each other. Encourage them when if one is an artist, encourage them to do little things for them so that they could encourage their artistic side, and vice versa for the other. It don't always have to be you encouraging your siblings, but teach them to encourage each other. And so siblings love as a witness. Our relationship with each other as siblings is meant to be a witness to the world. Remember the agenda of sibling hatred. If we can't get along with each other, people will notice. If they notice, many will ask. This gives us the perfect opportunity to show them how only Jesus makes it possible for us to love. Only Jesus could make it possible for us to love the sibling that is unlovable. And I say that echoing, I do have a brother that is unlovable. I mean, he's lovable, but he has some things that I just had to put him aside. Like this, I read earlier, they don't have to be your best friend, but you still have to love them. All right? On the flip side, when we aren't kind to each other as Christians and have relationship just as bad as everyone else, or even worse, guess what message we are sending? it's easy to talk about these talking points, but the true act is how we react to each other. And I've been in ministry for quite a while. Well, at least been going to church. Let's put it this way. I've been going to church for quite a while. I really, some people grew up in the church. I grew up going to church. Big difference. And it wasn't until my husband and I was in our later years that we truly were in church, But how we behave with each other, I tell you, we are terrible witnesses. We are terrible. Because we have more agenda than the secular folks. And then we're looking for help with our agenda. I did a message a long time ago on the Jezebel spirits. And I tell you, we are our own worst enemies. We have to be kind to each other, not fake kindness, genuine kindness. I remember TPC is founded on agape love. I remember when we first moved to Virginia, my husband and I used to watch Pastor McPherson on TV. But our relationships are very important because one bad seed spreads. I just finished up, tomorrow I'll be finishing up a series on the parable of the sower. And it's a powerful, powerful thing when we talk about sowing and the seed, which is the word of God, and how we behave. This is a sad message to send because Jesus died on the cross to give us the power to say no to sin. He died so that we could be free from the bondage of wrong choices. Our sibling relationships should display that kind of power. Of course, they won't be perfect. And that's not the goal. They should be different enough to notice. So even though I have a brother that we don't have the best relationship, because I had to make a choice a long, long time ago, but he doesn't know because I still show him love. So when he's acting up, sometimes you just got to walk away. But he doesn't know that I walked away so he could behave the way he want to behave. Sometimes you just have those type of siblings. But you still need to know that they know that you love them no matter what. They could call you no matter what. Sibling love as a blessing. How can anything as difficult and trying as a sibling relationship bless us? How could unkind words, conflict, fistfights be something good in our lives? It is in the friendship, training, and even the adversity that we see the blessing. The real blessings in life doesn't always come from the good things. Real blessings come from the things we never wanted to experience, but it could not be more thankful that we did. Joseph would have never chosen slavery, but the result was blessing both in his life and in the life of the entire nation of Israel. We don't know where our blessings lie. Esther never would have chosen to be a queen, but the blessing was in the saving of the Jews. Ruth never would have chosen to be a widow, but the blessing of her kinsman redeemer became the heritage of the King David and the lineage of the ultimate blessing of Jesus. Life is full of hard things we never would have chosen, but it also has an abundance, comes with an abundance of blessings woven through every single part. The sibling relationship is a beautiful blessing to cherish, both when you are young and until you leave this earth. So cherish them. Cherish that relationship. Even though you remember the fights that you had with your siblings or the bad things that they did or the bad things that they said, they're still supposed to be cherished. Yes.
Pastor, so if I could share what you said so far, my two sons, they had sibling rivalry in the worst way. I mean, I can enjoy. I mean, they used to fight to the point where they weren't even talking to each other. And it used to hurt me and my wife so much to see that. You know, I mean, they'll come into a room and just ignore. But when the word that came down about Jabari to Akin, it crushed him. And it was expressed in what he said. You know, these kids express everything on social media. And even to this past September, he said not a day go by where he don't miss him.
Yeah.
So the message, like you were saying, is this. No matter what you're going through with your sibling, take that time to express that love. Whether they make you mad or not, whether you don't like what they're doing or not. You know, I'm paraphrasing what you're already saying there, but I saw the hurt in my son when he came home and he flew over for the funeral. He just was not himself, you could tell. And I know a lot of it was guilt. Had a heavy, heavy dose of that guilt spirit because you never had an opportunity to make right what you all had going back and forth. Because none of us know the day or the hour we're going to be called home.
Yes.
And when that happened, this was a perfect example before me of what I've seen happen with my two sons to try to encourage people. If you have an issue with a sibling, please make good on it. Because you never know, and you're not going to have that chance again should they be called home.
I just echo about appreciating your siblings. All of my siblings are gone. And my youngest sister, because I was the older one, you always have to take care of her. And my father was this proponent that you never put your hands on a woman. So I would never hit her. Oh, but she would hit me. And things would happen. We would just be in these situations, and I would seem like, oh God, I've got to get us out of this because they're looking at me. You were in charge. We left you in charge of that. And so purposes, you know, as you were talking about those stories in the scripture, I'm trying to learn to pray without an agenda.
Yep.
I'm busy sometimes trying to tell God how he's supposed to bless. And every time my stuff is a mess, and then I see how God, I would have never thought of that, and it comes out. I was so, my sister, she abused alcohol for a season. The boyfriend she picked, oh my God, they were just, you get calls 2 o'clock in the morning. She's in New Jersey, you're here. She's talking about, I don't know if he's gonna shoot me, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like 6 hours away. I'm calling the police there to go to the house just to make sure everything is okay.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, and then she got to points because, the alcoholism, things were disappearing from the house. I don't have my saxophone anymore because it disappeared from the house. A house where we had German shepherds that would, if we didn't let you in there, they would tear you apart. So there was nobody breaking into that house and taking things. Stuff would just disappear. And my parents would call, and I know I was like, well, y'all need to just put her out. She's grown. And my mother used to keep saying, but that's my baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. And when we were getting ready, I have to really honor my wife. When we were getting married, I just hadn't been saved long, but everything had to be holy. Everything had to be right, And so I told my wife, you pick your bridesmaids, and I'll pick my grooms. So all my groomsmen were people that I knew were solid and serving the Lord, So she tells me, I want your sister to be in my wedding. We had the biggest fight about, and Veronica kept saying, you told me I could pick who I want. And she just kept going and going on for that. But see, you don't always understand the purposes of God. Because after that, my parents were calling, something happened to your sister at the wedding. She just keeps talking about it. She enjoyed it, that kind of thing. And she established a relationship with my wife.
Wow.
She called the house and I'm like, hey, we're going to talk. She said, Veronica home? I'm like, that's all you got to say to me, And that ultimately led to my sister getting saved. She would call Veronica and they would talk and that kind of thing. And I would have never pictured that this is how God will work things out.
Yes.
And so cherish your siblings while you have them. I miss her tremendously. And sometimes we always focus on the negative, but when I was out of work and was looking for work, she had an old jalopy car, but she would let me use it to go to interviews. And it broke down on me several times in interviews, but she was always supportive. And at one point, it seemed like we were always arguing, but then she said, I really respected what you did when you came to the Lord. So, we have these things with our families all the time. There are things that happen with the two of us that my parents went to their grave. They don't know. I guess when you get to heaven, you know everything.
Yeah.
But and I don't know if it is with other people, but there's stuff that the two of us know. And I really do. It's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't miss her, And she died pretty young, and I just saw that she had so much potential, but I am grateful that she came to know the Lord and that my wife was instrumental in it, and that God didn't do it my way. He did it his way. And it's tremendous. And yeah, make things right with folks.
Yes.
Make things right, because you just never know.
Never know.
One more quick thing to piggyback on that just reminded me. I have 20, well, I just found about two. I got 24 siblings. And
24.
the oldest, on my dad's side, his name was Norman. And he's about the only one of my siblings that has departed. And if he was alive today, he'll probably be in his 70s right now. But what you always hear from all of us, not when I say us, I'm talking about all the siblings that grew up in that house. I grew up with my mother, okay, is the kindness, the love, and the hard-working demeanor that Norman had, not just for his family, but for everybody. So sometimes those legacies, they last.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure because of how Norman was, it affected a lot of the ones around him. So that's so important. Thank you, man.
I just wanted to share about siblings. My mother had 9 kids. And my youngest sister was really spoiled, and everything had to be her way. And when my mother died, she had left me in her, she left me on the savings account, left her in the checking. Well, she said, I'm not giving you anything. So we had a falling out. And she said I wasn't a sister anymore and all that. She was living in Brooklyn, where we were raised. And then she moved down here to Virginia Beach. And things had to be her way. If you came in her house, if she found the Lord, so you don't smoke in her house, you don't drink in her house. And so she was alienating the family. You know, my nieces and nephews and everybody would come, and she'd say, if you want to smoke, go in the garage. You want to drink, go in the garage.
Right.
And, you know, stuff like that. So we just kind of separate ourselves from her. And then she got sick. And she called me and she said, I haven't eaten in 3 days and I haven't got out of bed. And I said, what do you mean? So I said, I'm coming over. She was in stage 4 cancer. She never told nobody. She had made a lot of enemies of the family. My brother, he moved here too from Brooklyn, and they were close at one time because he didn't come when she said. She cussed him out, told him don't come back. So now she's in this house suffering with nobody.
Yeah.
So I had to call when I went over and I stayed with her till I actually moved in with her. And I called my younger brother and I said, you need to go see your sister. She said she didn't want to see me no more. I said, Russell, it's not about that. I said,
Yeah.
she's sick and she needs to know that we all are here for her. And then I called my daughter, then I called my niece, because these are all the people she got mad with.
Yeah.
But to make a long story short, after she passed, I went through a lot of stuff in her house. And she had a little prayer section set up in her dining room with the Bible. And I found this book where she had asked God to forgive her for all the people, even down to co-workers she turned against.
Wow.
And she had it all written down that she asked God to forgive her for these people. But the moral of the story, all my siblings went back and they would, I called them all and they all came back to see her before she died.
Wow.
And they all were on one accord, before she passed away.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
That's a wonderful story.
Something Dr. Lee, I don't know if y'all remember Dr. Lee when he came here to do the workshop. That reminds me, what she was talking about remind me of something he said in the workshop that we did with him regarding prayer and healing. And he was saying how the root of cancer is unforgiveness. So he was like, if you have unforgiveness in your heart, make sure that you rectify that as quickly as possible so that illness won't get in there and just fester. So I just wanted to share that.
Everybody good? The next line is cultivate unity, the joy of serving. Talk about how Christ did not come to be served, but to serve. Matthew 20:28. Let your children experience the joy of serving by thinking of 3 to 5 ways to serve their sibling each day of the month. Huh? 3 to 5 times. 3 to 5 ways. And it's just really to remind you, love on them, love on them. They're important to you, so love on them, serve them. And so their souls will be constantly enriched with your presence. Supporting one another, encourage them to build one another up verbally and attend one another's special events. It's important. Sometimes, you may have a sibling across living in California, but something special is coming up. Maybe one of their children is graduating. If you have the means, plan and attend. Don't just send a gift or tell them congratulations on the phone, but physically be intentional. Stop and plan. Sometimes if you know something in advance and you plan, it wouldn't be a burden. If you plan and prepare. If your children are older and struggle with supporting one another, it's never too late to start encouraging them. There may be some initial complaining. Even if it's forced for a while, they will grow to appreciate a stronger, more loving relationship. Sometimes that sibling may not want to receive your love or receive your attention. But you know what's intentional? Consistency. You being consistent in their lives, eventually it will break down that wall. Setting conflict. Pray for God to give you wisdom as you encourage your children's friendship. Look for ways to encourage them to love and support each other. Siblings are going to argue and get on one another's nerve from time to time. Even as adults, our adult siblings will get on our nerves. My sister was here, she got my nerves a lot of times. Especially when we had to go to the appointments. We'd be in the car and everybody's mad. But it is important that we proactively cultivate unity and friendship. That's important. If you keep that before you. The real blessing in life doesn't always come from the good things. Real blessings come from the things we never wanted to experience, but could not be more thankful that we did. Thank you.
And the second conflict piece, I think it's important, because this is just a personal experience with some of my siblings when my stepmom passed. It created such nasty things being said back and forth across the internet, and one is trying to draw everybody to this side or drawing everybody to this side because of things, what was left and what wasn't left. So it's important in cultivating the relationship you talk about and being able to put some kind of a trigger to mitigate conflict. The best way to do is to make it fair across the board, regardless of whether you think somebody deserves it or not. And I saw firsthand how that could really destroy sibling relationships, And on the contrast of that, and all my siblings on my mom's side, when she passed and our house, got destroyed by the hurricane and all of that, we had to end up selling the property. But even though our youngest sister did not do well by everybody, she kind of was just, it's always one or two. But she wasn't a part of NAM, without me getting too much into details. But she was probably the least to have anything to do with it. But you know what? Because of what our mother had put in us, we made sure that was split evenly across all 6 of her children. So it's important to do that without prejudice and without any unresolved intentions.
Right. And slow anger.
Yeah.
So that goes back to we talk about how in some of our family we have multiple siblings, And, we live in a culture where, the siblings from other relationships. And when you were speaking, it reminded me of actually the same message. I need to do some of the stuff I'm speaking about, because it reminds me that I also have outside siblings. The two siblings I'm talking about are the ones that I grew up with, but the ones on the outside are also your siblings. And so there's something that I was trying to do for a long time, which was to try to get all of the siblings together so we could come together and be able to have know their kids, connect more. And it never happened. And so while you were speaking and while I was closing that out, talking about being intentional, I'm going to need to be intentional. Somebody's going to have to step up and be intentional to make it happen. And so I'm going to try to be more intentional to see if I could get my siblings, we could come together, even if we have to rent a house and we all come together and just fellowship and get to know each other. I remember a time when we were stationed in Puerto Rico, and I always used to hear that my father had another child, and I thought I was it. I didn't think I didn't think there was another child anywhere. So I was like, that's people speaking foolishness, and it's usually how earlier I talked about this. Your siblings know the worst of you. Well, my aunt knew the worst of my father, right? And so when I go visit her, she would always slide in all these things that he did, and she always spoke to me about this brother that I have. And so I was stationed in Puerto Rico, and one day my dad says, I never told you, but you have a brother. No, I'm a grown woman. And he's going to all of a sudden have a revelation that he's going to all of a sudden have a revelation that I have a brother. And then he had the nerve to make it even worse. He's going to tell me that he wants me to go and visit my brother in another island. So I told him, I have to think about that. He said, there's nothing to think about. I need you to go visit your brother. And so I told my husband, my father got a lot of nerve. I don't know this boy from Adam, why he can't come visit me. And so my husband, I was calling Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. I was like, he always got some wisdom to tell me, and sometimes I don't want to hear it. But the point, at the end result, I decided that I'm going to go ahead and go visit this brother that I have. So I called my sister, and I told her that I got to go visit my brother, but you need to come with me because I ain't going in nobody's house and I don't know nothing about them. And I'm not going by myself. So we went, and that boy is a spitting image of my father. Same height, same spitting image. And his personality is 150% of my father. 150%. And needless to say, I had an awesome time. He's doing well. He was doing well for himself, and he took good care of me and my sister. I mean, but so if you have some of those siblings that are out there that you haven't connected to, and it's just reminded me of, I need to connect. We're getting older, you know what I mean? Them bones ain't like as young as they used to be, and you want to be able to spend some good quality time with your family. So that's God speaking to me while I'm giving this message to you. So, speaking to me and reminding me. So that's the end of my second session. I don't know if anybody needs to go to the bathroom. The last one is on friends to friends relationship, and that's a key factor that's important. If you want us to continue through, if you want to take 2 minutes to go to the bathroom.
Let's do this. Because I'm looking at the time, we can do this 2 ways.
Okay.
We could have lunch now, have our 2 ways, and we have lunch afterward. And we do the presentation afterward. What do you think?
So,
What you need,
no, I'm good.
you want to do that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That's a good suggestion. Good.
As,
So go on, get
as long as y'all talk to me. as long as y'all talk to me.
Oh, we will. So
Yeah, that's
let's go
perfect.
ahead and get lunch and then we-
Yeah, we'll do that.